Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful that you can join us for another week.
We certainly are.
And we're excited today. We have Scott Grace with us. He was born to atheist parents at an extremely young age in Brooklyn. He's come to believe in past lives because he's had at least 9 of them so far. He was an outlaw in the New York City, an opening act, a traveling troubadour, the corporate years, his stand-up, the spiritual Dr. Seuss, which I'm sure you'll love if we get into this, song portrait artist, best-selling author, and a life coach mentor guide. He loves using his intuitive gifts to hone in on what people most need, helping them to see their blind spots with empathy and compassion. He assists his clients in rapid shifts through emotional freedom technique known as tapping. So welcome, Scott. We're super excited to have you on the podcast this week.
Sure.
I am for sure happy to be here.
So we kind of read your bio, and yeah, it does seem like you've had a lot of lives that
Yes,
you've
you have.
taken a part of since you've been born. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got here?
Oh, sure. So I was born of atheist, very intelligent, scientific modeled parents who believed that a traditional education was the foundation for a stable and good life. And the first thing I did that shocked them was drop out of college and start pursuing spiritual things. So at age 18, I was studying something called A Course in Miracles. I was going to expensive weekend workshops, and I actually sold LSD to pay for some of these workshops.
Balance.
Yeah.
It's funny, I dabbled in the dark stuff and made enough money to do the light stuff. Very grateful for my journey. I've been passionately committed to healing, had a traumatic childhood, learned the art of caring for wounded inner children. And from the place of compassion for myself and others, I discovered my gifts. I discovered that I was able to channel songs and messages from spirit, that I was able to meet people wherever they were at. I can speak the language of the one before me, and that's a beautiful thing, to be able to speak love in many different languages. I can speak love in a language that an atheist can totally relate to. If I'm with a born again Christian, I know that lingo, inner child work. It's just amazing. All the things that I did to heal and support myself are now part of my toolkit to support others.
Right. So do you feel like it seems like music and poetry and storytelling has always been a big part of you and your evolving into who you've become today? Is that how you get your message across the best way?
Well, you just answered the question. Of course it is. People want entertainment mixed in with their enlightenment. If
Yes.
there's a way you could dazzle somebody and then teach, that's a potent combination. And it's a lot of fun for me. I never have a boring moment.
Beautiful. That's what it's all about. Enjoying life every moment, right?
You betcha.
Yeah.
You betcha, mama.
And so is that part of why you wrote your book then, was to be able to delve into some of your past? And I've started reading it and seeing that you were delving into some of your past, but you were also, you know, that creative side of you. Is that why you kind of were releasing that inner child?
Yes, I would say that I've written books for them because it's irrepressible. It's like I can't contain my stories, my humor. It has to be shared. I think somebody said in the Bible, may have been Jesus, that if you suppress what is inside you. If you don't give it, it will destroy you. But if you share it, it will save you. And I think if he was talking about your gifts, your self-expression, the ways that your heart would like to make a difference on this planet. It can be very self-destructive to keep your light under a bushel.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what brought you to the Dr. Seuss then part of that you do?
Oh
Is that
boy.
just was
I
that a channeling of
I
your inner child, or how did you come to that?
beats me, but I was reading Dr. Seuss to my daughter. She was 2 years old, and I tucked her in, kissed her goodnight, and one night I couldn't stop thinking, rhyming, and processing life through with it's like his voice was inside me. And I was just going about my merry way, making up rhymes about I'm doing the dishes. Dinner was delicious. I'm getting everything I wishes. It just kept going and going. And it was like Dr. Seuss was keeping me company and playing in my mind, accessing my vocabulary. And it was like, and then as if this real, he started to like get spiritual. He started to get profound. And I realized this is not just for me. And I started writing and listening, dictating, writing, and polishing. I would say it took about 2 months for each of the poems to be completed. And over the course of 6 years, 6 poems came through. And some of them are in the segments of them are in the book Mindful Masculinity. But the whole body of work is in a book called Oh, the Places Your Ego Will Go.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that true?
It goes many, many places. So can you share a little bit of one of your poems with
I
us?
would love, love, love to. So, and this one relates to the topic of masculinity, of what men go through when we're under the hypnosis of cultural conditioning. It covers the inner critic, which is a big part of the book, and a man's usual MO in terms of self-worth, which is I have to earn it. I have to accomplish. I have to. And if I don't, there's something wrong with me, and then the measurement stick comes out. And usually the measurement stick is from the parents, from the culture, from friends, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the measuring stick is I will be good enough when I make this amount of money, when I get this status, when I, get a girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever, that's when I'll feel lovable. It's like procrastinating love and substituting love for accomplishment. That's the biggest wound of masculinity nowadays. And the poem kind of covers that. So let's go into it.
Okay.
The ego will travel with you on this earth and be your companion for worse or worse. It pretends it's your friend, your bestest amigo, and it pours on the guilt. That's the beverage of ego. It's there to protect you, to help you feel strong. So it has to remind you you're doing it wrong. You're weak and you're lazy and you don't have a clue. That's your drill sergeant ego trying to motivate you. The ego wants you to be all you can be, so it gives you these pep talks all day and for free. Oh, the places you'll go and the guilt trips you'll travel. As the ego plays judge and bangs down on its gavel. But you always can get some relief from your pain by projecting it onto the others you'll blame. For that is the ego at its beastiest best. It nurses its grievances close to its chest. Republicans, liberals, your parents, your ex. The world is just teeming with folks to correct. If only these fools could conform to your ways, you could get on with life without further delays. The ego loves finding new gripes to complain about, turns molehills to mountains of yikes to feel pain about. Sometimes the ego's stuff gets you so stuffy, you come down with a cold or an ouchie more roughy. But there's no time for rest, so get up out of bed. If you're just here and now, you won't get ahead. Your to-do list must buzz like the bees that are busying. Keep filling your days till they're endlessly dizzying. Oh, the places you'll go and the people you'll see, all through the lens of what's in it for me. For the ego believes there is something it lacks, and until it is found, it won't let you relax. Perhaps you will find it in the next one you date. True love at first sight with a soul kind of mate. The romance is hot till the climate turns cold. Because when egos combine, they do not make a whole. It's great till the love gets obscured by control. Because when egos collide, they do not make a whole. Now, this is about a 7.5-minute poem. And in the interest of time, what I'd like to do is cut it short and jump to the end, because it doesn't sound very positive at this point. We're just pointing out the neurotic elements. And it does come to a nice happy ending. So let's share that part.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
Very interesting, though.
Would you like to comment?
I said, very interesting. I really like it.
Yeah. One day when you failed and succeeded enough, you witness your ego exposed in the buff. And you realize behind all its protective clothing that the ego's been hiding a state of self-loathing. And beyond that, you realize the biggest of deals. You've dreamt up the ego. It's not even real. So, for richer, for poorer, in all kinds of health, you make a commitment to loving yourself. You release the projections you placed upon others and find through forgiveness that peace is discovered. Here it comes. You realize the love that you searched for outside you is what you are made of and can't be denied you. So you let go your potions, your plans, and your pills. Put some logs on the fire and learn how to chill. Your old superstitions have gone up in smoke, like you can't rest in peace until after you croak. You no longer fear death, or for that matter, life, because you know that all matters are safe and all right. While resting in peace, you will be inspired to go out in the world with some newfound desires that spring from your heart and your soul. And wherever they take you, you're going there whole. Because the ego is now in the passenger seat. It lets down the window and lets in the treats. You're not in a hurry. You're taking it slow. Because the journey's as rich as the places you'll go. Where you are going, you don't need to know. Because the journey's as rich as the places you'll go. The journey's as rich as the places you'll go.
That says a lot. That says a lot.
That's amazing.
Wow. I can see why it took so long for you to put it together if you were getting it in bits and pieces. But it's very, very good. Very good. Love it. Yeah.
I do
Yes.
love it. And I love how you talk about this and you've brought this to the forefront because I think that, yeah, society has put on such a stigmatism around masculinity and what that actually means, and that you're adopting this into being that we can be more mindful and more spiritual about the masculinity and let go of those things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's near time too.
Mhm.
Mm,
Mm.
near
I,
time.
I like the way that, like, the ego, the man who's on a hamster wheel looking outside of himself for a sense of self-worth, at some point gets exhausted, and then, as the poem says, someday you fail and succeed enough to witness the ego exposed in the buff. In other words, you realize what you're doing, you see it clearly, and you begin to wake up. And then you go out in the world and you do have goals and dreams and desires and intentions, and they just come from a different place because you're not using the world to try to validate you. You're not using perspiration to to seek inspiration. It's like, I'm good just the way I am, and I'm here, might as well have some fun, make a difference in the world. So the goals come from a place of wholeness, of filling up and spilling over, just wanting to give because that's what we do. When we know who we are, that's what we do. And if you don't know who you are, start giving, volunteering, doing something of service, because that'll teach you who you are.
Yeah.
True enough. That's
Yeah.
true enough. Yeah.
I would agree with that because I think the more that we give out, we receive it, right.
Yeah.
As we're giving it, we're receiving back, right? The joy of the people that we're helping, or
Mm,
just that feeling that you have in your soul
mm,
of how good this feels to be able to help others
hmm
around
hmm Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although I would want to, I would want to caution people who are over givers and who get drained to be careful, especially right now, because in our culture there's been some shock waves lately, and there are people who get burned out through the social activism and they don't replenish. And so I would say to them, don't give so much, or just balance it with giving to yourself. Make sure that you're what you're doing is sustainable, that you're being replenished, not just by sleep, but
them.
by whatever floats your boat. It could be yoga, meditation, Zumba, walks in nature, cuddles with your partner, walks with your dog. But there has to be replenishing.
Yes. It
Yes.
does. Yeah, it
Yes.
does.
I think
Those of
too.
us who are
Sorry.
daughters of the moon and sons of the sun and children of the stars, who are here to make a difference, we have been waiting for this time, and this time has been waiting for us, and it's rocket ship time.
It is.
And I've been telling people, just, you know, don't worry about what's going on out there. You are the solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy out there, but it's bright in here. And when you stay bright inside, you have so much to give. And men need to penetrate. And this is why we love sex so much. And why, if we're honest with ourselves and we're in our hearts, sex isn't great unless it's great for the woman. Like, that's really what turns us on the most, is not our own pleasure, but being one who gives pleasure. So I learned, because I've been celibate for such a long time, I've been learning how to penetrate the world with this organ, which is just as throbbing as the one lower. And I write about it in the book, my adventures in achieving penetration at the DMV. That's one of my favorite chapters. I brought my guitar because I knew it was going to be a long line, and it just started to entertain people. People started to put down their phones and sing along and request songs, and the DMV became a concert hall. It was really fun.
Oh, that is fun. I haven't got to that part yet.
I find it so interesting when people like yourself talk about masculinity and how men have not, they've stayed back in the woods for so many years about getting in with their heart and nourishing themselves so much. And I know that with my son, like when he was growing up and that, when he would, something would bother him or something, he would come in the house, he'd be all upset. And I would say to him, so cry. Boys don't cry. I'd give him a slap on the arm and say, yes, they do. Yes, they cry, just like cry, because it's a way of releasing all your anxieties and all that other stuff, right? And it's interesting because as he's motioned through his life now, because he was one of those people that always said he was an atheist. And I've always had the cards and palmistry and things like that over the years. So now he's come full circle, like us. He's also into spirituality. He's accepting what's inside of him instead of allowing the world to make him be the person that he thought he was supposed to be. So it's really nice when I see someone like yourself that's pushing that out there for the male to say, look, I can be just as emotional, caring, loving as a woman or anything else. I can allow that to come through for me. Bravo for you, I say.
I appreciate your appreciation. Thank you.
Yeah. It's masculinity is a tough one. And watching him grow up because he didn't have a father, watching him, pound through his life trying to make that difference. It's interesting as a man watching because I know what I've done as a woman, and Kim is a woman too, right? But to see a man accomplish it and still have a heart in the end is beautiful. Yeah. No more of this narcissism and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? That's true.
So here's the challenge I think that men are facing the most. They've been, in a sense, instructed that you have to prove your masculinity in situations where fight or flight are paramount. In other words, like where I have to protect or survive or win some kind of very challenging and sometimes aggressive, violent thing. I have to prove myself. That's how I know I'm a man. And every generation, the task of the culture requires less adrenaline. Like every generation, there's less and less of a need for the primitive part of the brain to take over, and there's less jobs on the job market that require that kind of thing. So it's as if like men are still operating from the operating system of, I'm a warrior. I need a war. I need something to express my manhood. And more and more, our culture is going in the direction, I hope. No, really, the New York Times has proved, statistically speaking, that every year there's less war and less poverty. And that's great. And so what happens to the warrior when there's so much comfort, when the man can stay home and use his remote control instead of his heart? Well, there's a numbing effect. There's a depression. There's a depression. There's a lot of depressed young men because they don't have access to that warrior energy and a place to put it. And I did a training called the New Warrior Training Adventure, 1996, and have been recommending it left and right. It's about accessing warrior energy and directing it, which includes courage and bravery and all these beautiful qualities, directing it towards your own inner battlefield, your own sense of limitations, directing it towards your, terror to commit in a relationship, let's say. Well, I'm terrified of intimacy. I blah, 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 blah. The warrior, instead of going out to war, turns to the fear and starts to move forward anyway with encouraging self-talk. You can do this. It's not going to kill you. It's safe to be loved. It's safe to be terrified of intimacy, but don't let it stop you. Let's keep moving. And we talk a lot about what it means to have your back in the book. What the difference between discouraging self-talk, where your daily mantras remove you from your courage and create apathy and fear of taking risks. And then there's encouraging self-talk that talks you into your courage. It's kind, it's loving, and it doesn't use shame and guilt. It's like those are like tools from the other generations, and every generation passes on less shame and guilt to their children.
Yes, thank goodness.
Thank goodness, yes, bravo.
Because it's true, right? I think anybody, can have those encouraging or discouraging thoughts, but I feel like for a long time, men were told, you have to be the certain way and you can't open your heart to be that way. So I love what you were saying there, even about the intimacy and, kind of facing that fear and moving forward anyways, because I think that's important. And, I think however you decide to do it, like in your instance, it's a lot of creativity, a lot of song, a lot of poetry, those kind of things, and you're sharing that with the world. And I think that's an amazing message to get out to everybody.
Yes.
Really.
I want to share an example from my own life about this whole idea of accessing warrior energy for the inner journey. I moved to Mexico about 2.5 years ago, and I cut my cost of living more than in half. I cut my work hours. I work now half of what I used to work when I lived in the Bay Area. And there's a lot more friendly people here and slow, easygoing lifestyle. So you would think that it's all good. But what happened is I had a lot of trouble adjusting. I think it was 8 months into being here before I said, I think I have arrived. There was the amount that I used to say as I walked down the lake that I think stress is illegal here because I just don't see it. It's the Mexican culture has a happy-go-lucky attitude. They like to joke that Americans work 5 days a week. They work their asses off so they can rest and recreate on the weekend. And Mexicans work their asses off and rest and recreate every day. They don't celebrate life on the weekends. They celebrate life all the time. Somehow they have more permission to be happy. I don't know where they get that. I think it's strong family ties and just they're more connected to the earth. They're more indigenous people. I don't know, but anyway, so I got here and my work ethic, I got to make things happen. All the I have to make things happen. Part of me, was unemployed. Like I looked around and there was no rushing, no frantic craziness, and I missed it. I like what? Who am I in this slowing down thing? I am supposed to be frantic. I do not know what slow is. And it really, really was hard for me to let life be easy was the hardest thing that I ever did. And I'm still in the process. It's not it's such a gradual, gentle process. it's like I spent much of my life climbing up a mountain, which it requires effort. And now I'm in a stage of my life and a part of the world that supports the like let's say I got to the top of the mountain and now I'm sliding down and gravity is taking me down. So the more I relax and let life happen, the easier it is and the more life supports me. And so things like money and everything are just happening better the more I let life happen.
Yeah.
I mean, in the book we talk about like making it happen is the masculine approach, and letting things happen activates the yin or the feminine or the receptive part of the brain.
Yes.
And that's, I believe, where the planet has been so out of balance towards the yang that men and women really need to educate themselves on what right brain activity is: intuition, giving and receiving love, nurturing, tenderness, creativity. When you receive ideas like the Dr. Seuss stuff, I didn't come up with that. I received it. Being receptive, learning to take those antennas and tune into higher frequencies and let ideas and energies come in.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I think as people we make life harder than we need to, for one. We often
Yeah.
put our own obstacles in our way just by the way that we're thinking about things. And I know in my house anyways, I often songs really come to my mind all the time, and so I just make little song ditties out of almost everything that I do.
Oh, sweetheart.
So
Good for you.
so it's funny, but then people kind of give you that quizzical look. And at first I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. And I'm like, no, this is who I am. Why would I not share this? Regardless, if they don't want to accept it, that's on them.
But music was always in the house anyway, growing up. So
Oh, great.
music was always there, and we
Let
used
me
to,
respond to that.
we challenged each other with music every day.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Tell me your name. Are you Kim or Barb?
I'm
Kim,
Kim.
You.
I'm Barb.
Okay. Okay. Kim likes to swim in the waters of the music. She breaks out in song from her heart. The neighbors might say, why do you sing that way? And you just let it come. No need for explanations. Just take a vacation from all the seriousness. Bob has taught you well. Life is for so much joy. It's all for the joy. So you just skip and sing while you're doing the dishes, feeling so grateful. Life is delicious. You had song growing up, a challenge or two, so the music is alive and expressing through you to your heart. Continue to be true, even if your neighbors say, ooh, ooh, ooh.
I love it. Thank you.
That is cool. Quick thinking too.
Would you say we need a little bit more silliness on the planet right now? Lightheartedness, levity, kindness. These are the things that balance out the cruelty and disconnection from life that's being played out.
Yeah.
I would agree with you there. It's so funny because at work, I'll be looking at something, my brother sent me or somebody sent me and some funny video or something. And then I just laugh and people are like, you're so funny. I'm like, but I love living from that. And I think that's what the message you're trying to get
Yeah.
out is living from your heart and living in that lightness and just enjoying life. Because I think more we can spread that out into the world, the more these atrocities that are going on are going to become less impactful to us.
That's very true.
Betcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's great that you can share your gift in that way.
Mhm. Well,
Excuse
one of my
myself here.
favorite prayers is the prayer of the Saint Francis, and that is the make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is sadness, let me sow joy. Where there's injury, let me sow pardon. Where there is, so it's like you want to anchor the opposite of what you see out there.
Yes.
That's healing. Not to like somebody's in quicksand and you're standing on solid ground and you reach out a hand, and because fear tends to be a stronger vibration than love, it doesn't have to be, but it tends to be more aggressive. Fear, the person in the quicksand unwittingly will pull you in, and then there's two people in the quicksand.
Yeah.
So I would say better to stand on solid ground and broadcast the good news that life is good and that nothing human beings could do could change that essential truth. All is well, all of the time.
Yes. I
And
agree
then
with that.
when you feel strong enough, you can reach out and grab a hand, and only if they want to be pulled out, you pull them out. But if they're pulling you back in, you let them go.
Yeah.
Healthy selfishness.
I find with us,
Maintain,
I'm sorry, go
fine
ahead.
with you. Yeah, maintain your vibration at all costs. There's never a reason that sacrificing your aliveness or your well-being is worth it. It's a radical statement.
Mhm. We at one point lived in the mountains, and that allowed us to slow down too. Living in a busy city in Ontario at one time, then we moved into the mountains, and it took us like you, like, whoa, how come nothing's happening? We have to slow down. We're talking to the deer and talking to the, all the rest of it. Allowed us to open our minds to say we can slow down. And her boys like really learned from that, being in the mountains
Oh,
and
good.
really being out with nature and that kind of thing. Like it was so good for all of us, coming back into lots of people again. Sometimes I sit back and go, I would do anything to get back up there
Mm,
and spend some
get
time.
that Rocky Mountain high.
Yeah. Mm.
So you moved from a city,
Into the
populated
mountains, then back into the city.
area. Yeah. So you moved from the population into a place that had a dedication to this natural sensation of peace. And you had to release the busy, busy rush and learn how to relax and learn how to trust. Trust. And part of you said, I'd rather have some fuss. I need something to fuss about. All this peace and beauty is just bringing up fear and doubt. It's making me crazy to be this relaxed. I need to go find me some struggle and crap. But you stayed in the mountains. You learned how to chill. You looked around, saw the deer. What a thrill. What a thrill to be part of the natural world. And you passed that on to your boy. I love that. What a joy to have a child grow up and feel connected to the mountains. That's where his aliveness begins to fountain and spring up into creativity and service. And he'll be too busy helping the world to be nervous. Don't have to worry about anxiety. Just make a difference. You'll have harmony.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And one of them's back in the mountains, so
Awesome.
yeah, it really is. And it was funny because he texted not too long ago and was like, "Oh, Mom, I bought myself a telescope and now I'm looking back up at the sky." And it's just so nice to see when these young people are really starting to just allow themselves to have that space to just be creative or take that moment to have the rest from this busy life that we live the rest of the time. And I
Mhm.
think that's great that you moved to Mexico and learned that lesson and are still learning it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get off your phone and look at the sky. Get off the microscope, pick up the telescope. The whole universe is there for your entertainment. You don't need YouTube. Take a look. It's more powerful than any book. I want you to see this divine symmetry. It's in the stars, in the sky, it's in you, it's in I, it's in every molecule and every cell, vibrating with the truth that all is well. So don't bitch and moan, complaining on your phone when you can get out amongst the stars and discover who you are.
Very true. Very true. There's
Very.
nothing like it. There's nothing like being and looking up the stars and you have nothing around you with no lights around you. You just get the light from the sky and it's just phenomenal. What you see in front of you, it's magical. And it allows your mind to just escape and go all different places. It's a
Mhm.
beautiful thing.
And
Mhm.
get quiet and have awe. Reverence and awe
Mhm.
are really potent medicines in this time period of believing life because you're seeing it on a screen.
Mhm.
It's like we've confused the holodeck with life.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very much so.
Very true.
Yeah.
No, that's why Jordan likes it.
It's just making me think for a second.
It does.
It really does, and it is so true. Like we just as society we like to fill our lives with so much distractions, and I
Mhm.
I love just having that peace and quiet. So this has been the funnest time with you. If you had a
Mm.
final thought to leave with everybody, what would it be?
It would be about curiosity, being curious, being curious and playful, uh, letting the magic of childhood that you may or may not have experienced, but let it redo it. Do a redo, do a do-over. Start your childhood now. This is this is part of my family. Oh, darn it, my screen. Oh, there he is. And my, my children. So we're all big happy family, and the stuffies remind me that I'm forever, eternally young, no matter how my body ages, and that young, youthful energy is curious. Wow, what an emotion to go out in the world and be curious about people and be curious about what's going on in here, where you're coming from, and how life can be so much better than your limited construct.
Mhm.
I get afraid that young people are getting diagnosed. So many people have a diagnosis, whether it be, you know, chronic anxiety, ADHD, and everybody walking around with a label. And the labels can blind us to how incredibly miraculous we are and life is.
Mhm.
So I'd like to give everyone listening a label. You have a disease called AH. Oh, AHO stands for Abundant Happiness Order. Your world is in divine order. There's an abundance of everything you want and need, and you just can't help but be chronically happy. That's your diagnosis. I am your doctor, and you need no other diagnosis.
Beautiful.
Don't get a second opinion. The world's full of second opinions.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed. Take your advice. I think that's the best diagnosis that you could have given to everybody. So,
Awesome.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. And it has been just so joyful and just so much fun, and had some laughs and some smiles, and I think I'll have a permanent smile for a little while now after talking to you. So
May you invite me back. There's always
Yes.
lots to talk about and
Oh.
sing about.
Yes, love to.
100%. And so, can you tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find your book?
Sure. So the book is called Mindful Masculinity, a book for men and the women who love them. It's on Amazon. Scott Grace is my name. And my website is a good place to just stay connected, to sign up for my very infrequent emails. It's www.scottsongs.com, SCOTTSONGS.com. There's a lot of songs of mine you can download for free on the website. I would say that if you're on Facebook, look me up, Scott K. Grace. And if you're doing YouTube these days, boy, you're gonna have to discipline yourself to get off the tube. Once you get on mine, it's like the Matrix, all this Dr. Seuss and comedy and tapping videos, which we didn't talk about, but that's what I do with my clients. So yeah, let's stay connected.
Yes,
And
yes.
I'm
We'd
talking
love to
about
have you
Kim,
back.
Barb, and you, whoever's listening. Feel free to stay connected to my world. I am committed to being an uplifter, especially when times seem dark. I've been through my dark nights of the soul. I'm not saying that there may not be another one around the corner. I never I never test the universe. I'm done with my deep inner work. No. The time for humility, boom. But I do have a lot to give, and I am in a stage in my life where just uplifting people is all I do, and it's all I want to do. And so stay connected. And when you get an email or a post from me, it's going to be positive. It's going to help you in some way.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing time with us and space with us and our followers, and we appreciate it. We hope that we get to have you back on, hear some more of your creativity, because it was a real joy.
It is so, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
And,
You're welcome.
And everybody else, tune in next time.
You bet you should.